Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans. We're all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter where you're going. It just matters that you're here right now. I have to tell you right up front, I am sicker than a dog. I got something. I went out into public, and now I'm sick. And this is why I don't go out in the public. This is absolutely horrible. So I went and saw my doctor of osteopathic medicine, Dr. Bradbury, who operates here or doesn't operate, right? So he's a physician here in Cabot, Arkansas. And I go to see him because he's a doctor of osteopathic medicine. He's not an MD. The MDs and DOs are equivalent, right? They've got same training. They do the exact same things, but one of them is a medical doctor, quote unquote, an MD, and the other one is a doctor of osteopathic medicine. So, anyway, I choose doctor of osteopathic medicine because my daughter is also a physician and she is a doctor of osteopathic medicine. So, I'm a big fan. So, uh, I'm a little bit sick, but I'm going to try to get through this. You want to know why? Because I'm fired up. I am unbelievably fired up about what I'm going to talk about today because I'm going to be talking about illegal. I got to put this in illegal orders and the assumption that, well, I'll get into it in just a second. All right, so let's go do the big show. Let's start off with this right here, which is the Constitution of the United States of America. How come my stuff's not working right now? It's not working. It's so, I don't know. It's crazy. Look, the Constitution of the United States is the best document ever. You are sharing the planet with about 8 billion people, and the debt is of 139, 140. I don't know. It's trillions of dollars. So anyway, it's look at that. My brain is not even working. All right, I'll tell you what the number is. Population of the world is 8,260,000,000, and the debt clock is we're 38,355,000,000,000 in debt. So there you go. Back to the big show. All right. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm going to try to get into this. I'm going to try to remain calm, but I can't remain calm because I was in the United States military for 30 years and I saw a lot of stuff in 30 years. I went to more than 50 different countries. I was an enlisted flyer. I never drove the airplane, but I've got 6,000 hours on the airplane. And we would get phone calls. Sorry. We would get phone calls and go, hey, pack up your stuff and go over here because we have orders from up on high that said that we need to go over here. And sometimes it was to do relief efforts. Like I went to Iran. How many people do you know that have been in Iran? I've been in Iran. You want to know why? Because they had an earthquake, and the president of the United States, through diplomatic channels, figured out a way that we could send aid to Iran. So we loaded up airplanes and we went to Iran. Now I wasn't the only American there, but I was the last enlisted person out of Iran. Before in before some of the Navy dudes a couple years later got caught off the shore, and then they were. But up until that point, I was the last enlisted person in Iran. Then we had not been in Iran for 20 years. Now I didn't question why we were going. I just said, hey, somebody gave me an order, and away I go. I'm going to go to Iran. And I want to use that to set the stage for the people that are appointed above you know more than you do if you're on the bottom rung of the food chain. So, and when I say the bottom rung of the food chain, I'm talking about enlisted people, right? So, the first thing you have to understand is how the United States military is set up as far as the command and control. So, all of the military is commanded by civilians. That's one of the great things about our military is our military has no power, all run by the civilians. So the president of the United States is commander in chief. Then you have the secretary of defense, and then you have the secretaries of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. So those are the secretaries of the military. So all the commands come down from civilian authorities. And those commands, if you get into the real world, it goes from the president of the United States to what they call combatant commanders. Now, the Secretary of the Air Force is not between the president and a combatant commander because there's no time to be calling all of the secretaries and going, hey, what do you guys think of this? The Joint Chiefs of Staff are advisory bodies to the president of the United States, but they're not in the chain of command. So it goes from the president to the combatant commander. And here's what the crazy thing is. Nobody knows who the combatant commanders are. Nobody knows it. Nobody even knows that we have combatant commanders, right? So you have a commander that's running all of Africa. You have a commander that's over in the Pacific. You have a commander that's over the United States of America. You have a commander that's going to be over South America. So a combatant commander, whenever you deploy, like to Afghanistan, they assign a duly elected, or not duly elected, duly appointed person to be in charge of that region. That's the way that's the way that the chain of command goes. Most people don't even know that part of the chain of command. They just think that the president of the United States just tells somebody in the military and then they go do it. But it's not the way that it goes. So the combatant commanders tells regional commanders and different forces what to do, and then they disseminate all that information down to the levels below them. So you will have a command like Air Mobility Command or whatever the other ones are. And then that commander then assigns it to a wing or some kind of an army element. And then that goes down into the squadrons, and then it goes down to the people. So it goes through a whole bunch of different stages before it gets down to the bottom of the troops. Everybody needs to understand that, because what happened in Washington really, really pisses me off. So 6 Congress people decided to get up there and they decided to make a video or videos that said, hey, all of you troops that are out there, you need to defy illegal orders if you're given an illegal order. Well, how is a troop supposed to know what's an illegal order? Right? So we know that murder is wrong. We know that you can't just go and blow up buildings. You just can't go and do that. But you have to understand that the person at the tip of the spear, the person that's getting the job done, that's the end of the food chain. They're only executing what happened with all the other people. Now, I believe that they were talking about blowing up boats coming out of Venezuela that are carrying drugs. So let's talk about that for just a second. I'm going to use that as a primary example. I don't know whether they were talking about what's going on in Africa or what's going on in the Middle East or what's going on in some other part of the country. I have no idea what these Congress people are talking about when they say illegal orders. Don't do that. But then they turn around and they go, oh, well, we're just telling them that they shouldn't do it. We're not implying anything. Well, you didn't do that last year, and you didn't do it the year before, and you didn't do it the year before. It's only now that Donald Trump is in that you start saying, hey, all of you troops, you better not be doing anything illegal. Just saying. All right. So now here's what the problem is. Congress is the only body in the United States military or in the United States that can declare war. It's right here in the Constitution of the United States of America. The Congress is the only legislative body that can declare war. But what they did is the way that the military is set up is Congress allocates money to do things so they can raise an army, and then the executive branch gets that army to do with whatever they want to do. And that's the way that it works. So Congress raises money, gets an army, and then hands it to the executive branch, the president of the United States, to go and defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And then Congress is out of it. Congress is not in the food chain. Congress is not in the chain of command. Congress is out of it. They don't have a say-so. They have congressional investigations, but that's it. They can only investigate what's going on in the military. Then they can make a judgment about what happened to that, and then they can report back. But they can't really do anything to anybody. So Congress is inert. Congress can just suck eggs because Congress is totally worthless. They're like bumps on a bullfrog. Who knows why they're there, but they're there. So they don't do anything. So now that you know that Congress is not in the chain of command, Congress raises an army and hands it to the executive branch. Now the executive branch, as the president of the United States, has control of the military. Inside of that structure, now that we know that Congress is out of it, the president of the United States and the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State, they determine who are terrorist threats. Because remember when 9/11 happened? Right. We have a whole new different structure where terrorism became fightable. Now we can go fight terrorists without getting any permission from Congress. All you have to do is have the executive branch, the president of the United States, designate an organization as terrorists, and all of a sudden now they're a target. And it became because of Al Qaeda, and it became of whoever else came, whoever came, or right. So the Taliban, Al Qaeda, all of those terrorist organizations in the United States. We have redneck, white supremacist groups that are on that list. We have all different kind of organizations that are on the terrorist watch list that the executive branch can take care of if they deem them a serious enough threat to the United States of America. They don't even have to ask Congress. They just go, hey, look here, we deem these people bad people, and if we get the opportunity to kill them or blow them up, we're going to kill them and blow them up. So that's what's happening. So when the CIA or whoever's down there designates and watches and says, hey, look here, we have a cartel operation that's moving drugs. The drug lords have been declared terrorists because they're importing, or they're bringing into the United States tons and tons of drugs, and they're killing our people by bringing the fentanyl in and bringing heroin in and other drug things so that they can make billions of dollars because they have been designated a terrorist group. That means that the president of the United States gets to go tell them and gets to go blow them up and go tell them to take care of the United States of America. Now that you kind of understand how the stage is set, that's just setting the stage. Let me tell you why I'm mad. Let me tell you why I'm mad. Congress is out of the chain of command. That's the first thing. But number two, when Congress people look at the lowliest of the low, the airman, the Marine, the soldier, the sailor, Space Force cadet, whatever the heck they are, and they look at them and go, hey, we're here to remind you that you better not be following any illegal orders. Then all of a sudden, you put doubt in the mind of those people and go, I've been given what? Why are you telling me this now? Why is this significant enough to be telling me now that I need to be doing it? And is somebody issuing? It puts doubt in your mind. Is somebody issuing illegal orders that I'm supposed to not follow? The worst thing you can have in war, the worst thing you can have in a tense situation is doubt. That's why the rules of engagement over in Afghanistan and Iraq were killing people, because people had doubt in their mind. They would go in and they would go, all right, I'm not allowed to kill civilians, but that civilian has a gun and that gun is pointed at me. Am I allowed to go and kill that person? So many people were killed in Afghanistan and in Iraq because they had questions in their mind about the legality of killing the people that were being sent out to kill them. You got to remember, nobody in Iraq and nobody in Afghanistan were wearing uniforms. They didn't have an organized body that was designated as an army. That's what made it harder and harder and harder. So that when so many orders came down from the Pentagon of the United States into the theater commanders and disseminated down to the troops, that the troops would push back and they would go, hey, look here, we don't think that's a good idea because we don't think that we are justified in this action. And that's why it had to go up to the highest level of command in order to have an authorized just to shoot back. just to shoot back at somebody that was shooting you had to be authorized by somebody at a higher level. Unless there was imminent danger and you were under threat of being killed. Can you imagine waiting until you were under the threat of, not only under the threat of death, but you have to be fired upon first? Somebody has to shoot at you before you can shoot back, although you know that they're going to shoot at you because they're coming towards you and they're sneaking through the woods, or they're sneaking through the rocks, and they're sneaking through the rubble, or they're sneaking through the streets, and they've all got guns, and they've all got things that'll blow you up. And you're not allowed to shoot back. And then Congress people come out here and go, hey, better watch out for those illegal orders. Here's the problem. Like I haven't discovered the problem enough. The other day I was online and somebody said those troops need to be held accountable for any actions that they take. Do you know what that means? So if you go out and you prosecute a military mission and you kill somebody or you break things, now you have civilians in Congress that are saying, we will hold you accountable for your actions if you don't. And then when I was online the other day, I was reading somebody, I wrote, do you understand that you're talking about putting the troops under the threat of death for following an illegal order? Because in the United States military, under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, if you don't follow those orders in order to do that, you are also under the penalty of death. So now you have the penalty of death or the penalty of death. What in the fuck are the troops supposed to do when people in Congress are now saying, if you follow illegal orders, or people online, because of what the people in Congress said, the people online, a large percentage of the population are going, we need to hold those people accountable that execute illegal orders. Hey, you choose death or death, one of the two, because if you do the wrong thing on this side, we're going to get you. And if you do the wrong thing on this side, we're going to get you. So now you put the troops at the lowliest of the low, an 18-year-old airman or soldier that just got in, still wet behind the ears, doesn't even know the business end of a gun. And all of a sudden now you're saying, hey, look here, you better not screw up. You better know how to recognize illegal orders, and you better not do anything, even though somebody might be shooting at you, or you might be under imminent threat or imminent danger. If you don't execute the mission that we say, if we say blow up that boat and you don't blow up that boat, that's failure to obey the officers above you and the President of the United States, which is punishable by court-martial. People have gone to jail because they have slept on post. They were sent out to guard an airplane or guard equipment or guard personnel, and they fell asleep and they were prosecuted under the Uniform Code of Military Justice for falling asleep and failure to complete their duties. There's a big difference in what's going on in the civilian world and what's going on over here in the military world. They have two different justice systems. The first, although they meet at the Supreme Court, the Uniform Code of Military Justice is just for military people because it is illegal to not go where you're told if you're wearing a uniform. So if you don't show up for work in the military, it's a lot different than not showing up at McDonald's. That's gravity, right? So if you're going to go off to war and you fail to deploy, then that is a serious offense because you're not following orders and you fail to deploy. But if you don't show up in McDonald's, nobody gives a damn. And this is what the problem is. The people that are saying all this shit don't understand the implications of the pressure that they're putting on the youngest troops. You see, the way that the system is set up is the orders come down. Officers take a different oath than enlisted people. The officers are supposed to determine the legality of the actions that they are about to issue orders on. The troops are just there to execute the orders. That's why in the enlisted oath, it says, I will do whatever officers and the President of the United States tell me to do. Therein lies the problem. Because if they don't do that, then they can be held accountable in the military court of law. I'm sorry, I can't remember my total oath. I will do whatever the officers above me and the President of the United States tell me. So help me God. Therein lies, boy, I've been using therein lies, the crux of the matter. So the crux of the matter is these people knew what they were doing. And they were trying to get political points in on the President of the United States by implying that the President of the United States was issuing illegal orders, and they wanted the lowliest of the low to take it in the teeth. And here's what the thing is. We got your back. No, the fuck you don't have their back. You can have your back. You're not involved in the UCMJ. You're not involved in the chain of command. You're not involved with what happens in the executive branch when it goes into these folks. So you're not going to pay their legal bills. You're not going to be in court with them. You're not going to go to jail with them. You're not going to be executed if it comes down to that with them. So don't go look at a young person in the United States military and go, you don't have to follow illegal orders. Yeah, they don't. But because you have sown the seeds of doubt in their mind, you have put them in a more dangerous position where they will be legally culpable for the actions that they do or do not take. And you don't understand the implication because you're not familiar with what the hell happens in the United States military and the chain of command and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It infuriates me when people do shit and they have no idea the consequences of the actions that they take or the words that they say. And they don't understand the gravity because they don't understand what the hell is going on. They're just blah, 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 blah. They're just talking. Donald Trump's a bad man. We shouldn't be blowing up boats. We shouldn't be putting people on the border. We shouldn't have people in Washington, D.C. We shouldn't do this. So we're going to go ahead and not talk to the commanders. We're not going to talk to Donald Trump. We're not going to talk to Secretary of War. That's weird. Secretary of War. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. We're not going to talk to the combatant commanders. We're not going to talk to any of the commanders or anybody that signs the orders. We're going to go talk to the troops by putting out a viral video where we say, hey, look here, we're standing up to Donald Trump. We're going to take an 18-year-old that doesn't know what the heck they're doing in the United States military. We're going to talk directly to them. Oh, my God. Can you tell I'm a little pissed? Send this. If you get this video, you send it to those fucking Congress people. Send it to them. And just go, hey, this is why you screwed up. Because you're putting the emphasis on the wrong people. You're trying to leverage, you're trying to stick a knife into Donald Trump, and it's ending up in the back of an 18-year-old who's on the front lines just trying to defend the country. It's horrible. Well, what about the NCOs? The NCOs don't take the officer oath. They're supposed to follow the orders of the commanders appointed above them, of the officers and the President of the United States. Well, they're going to be held accountable. Well, they're fucked either way then. All of the troops. Look, we're not asking for anything other than to leave the troops out of this. Leave the troops out of it. You got a problem with Donald Trump, take it to Donald Trump. You got a problem with Secretary Hegseth, you take it to Hegseth. You got a problem with the civilian commanders of the Secretary of the Army, Secretary of the Air Force, Secretary of the Navy, you take it to them. Leave the troops out of it. We love the troops. Well, you don't love the troops when you do like that and you put them in a position where they're screwed if they do and they're screwed if they don't. Oh my, infuriating. Anyway, my name is Mickey. This is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you're going. We don't listen to the 20% of the crazies on the left or the 20% of the crazies on the right. We're just trying to make our best life here in the middle. We're middle Americans trying to make it every single day. I do this show most Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Central, wherever I am and wherever you are. You can tune in, like it, share it, really share this one because people don't understand the precarious position that they're putting our troops in. And I find that absolutely unacceptable. Although we have to accept it because it is a reality. So, I got some chats. I'm sorry. Hi, Mickey. Hey, Darla. Hi, Darla. Oh, Hezbollah is another one. Won't have an armed force if this keeps up. There haven't been enough illegal orders. This annoys me to no end. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Hey, you guys all be good out there. I love you. I'll see you next Wednesday with Mickey, another episode of Mickey in the middle of the week, 9 p.m. Central, wherever I am, wherever you are. You guys be good. Take care. I love you. Bye.